Hello everybody, it's Thursday morning and up with the lark again. I had everything done by 5:30, washing, hoovering, dusting, I don't know, the things that need doing to the house a couple of structural things that need doing to the house. The garden needs attending to. The kids next door have knocked all the fencing down. It's my side, so I have to replace it. He won't. And I've already replaced 2 panels. They're broken another 2. So I've got to do that. I've got to get that sorted out. And then the other side of me, they came into some money, and they've gone. Quite a lot of money. When their parents died, and they've gone to the Middle East. And in the Middle East at the moment, they've been away for going into the second year now, 2 years. So everything there is falling down. I've had to replace fencing there as well. And, money's tight at the minute. I've paid for Alfie's funeral. We gave him a really good send-off. We have got no insurances because we've got no debts, no mortgage, and I suppose it's silly not to have insurance, but we didn't. So Alfie's funeral I paid for as his wife, as he would do for me. And the headstone I will pay for. I've given the kids, before you all yell at me and say, where have you got the money from? I'm going to come to that in a minute. I've given the kids a lot of money. And I'm talking about like £30,000 over the 3 this year. So really, it's left me not skint, but not affluent. I had savings, but I also won a medical negligence claim this year, and I had a payout in March, which is where I got some of the money from. This medical negligence claim was due to negligence. I almost lost my life because of what they did and what they didn't do. And I was left in agonising pain for months, and I knew I was going to die because nobody was listening to me. I felt that it was a shovel in my stomach and I was bleeding from inside. And symptoms now, classic symptoms that I know were caused by a stomach ulcer. Stomach ulcer caused by stress, I suppose. But nonetheless, I went to my GP 3 times in 1 week with the pain, and my weight had gone down to £77. They're written on the notes, looks emaciated, looks this, looks that. All they did, more and more morphine, diclofenac, and diclofenac is the worst thing you can have if you've got a stomach ulcer, I've discovered. Anyway, my doctor came out on the Friday, I believe, left me a prescription, and my son collected the prescription. It was for something called Zomorph, and I took the prescribed dose, fell asleep on the sofa for about 2 hours, stood up, and I collapsed on the floor in pain. It was as though somebody had just stuck a sword in my stomach, and I was screaming in pain. As luck would have it, my son rang and I answered the phone, and he contacted his partner to get the ambulance to Mum's. He came over. First responder came out. Long story short, I ended up at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, and the marvellous man there, and I'll never forget him, he listened to my stomach. He immediately diagnosed. He said, he called somebody else over. He said, you know, part of the bowel is dead. He immediately diagnosed what was wrong. Kept me in, obviously, and I was first on the list, straight into surgery. And I was told, it wasn't sinking in with me at the time, I was told that you've got no reserves to fall back on. It's a very serious operation, and if you come through it, and I didn't even put emphasis on I didn't care at that point, I was in so much pain. If you come through it, you'll likely need a stoma. So I was in surgery for 8.5, nearly 9 hours. And they told my son that I got a 15 to 20% chance of survival. That could have been caught ages before. Anyway, this is over 6 years ago, 7 years, going into 7. And so I got this medical negligence claim going. And most medical negligence claims don't go to court. As luck would have it, you know, if I drop a slice of bread, it will go butter side down. And as luck would have it, I was one of the 2% of cases that did go to court. I was on the witness stand for 2.5 days. And when I say days, it was 4 days, from 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. They ripped into me the other side, brought everything out. You know, you were depressed because of your husband being in a nurse. You were depressed because of this. You were under stress because of that. A lot of your pain is because you've got fractures in your back, blah, blah, blah. And they laid into me. It was awful. 2.5 days of that. And then my sons were on the stand. 2 friends of mine were on the stand. And anyway, I won the case, and I won a payout of 120. Originally, my lawyer was going to go for £242,000, just over. But because I'd had a hip operation, and because I'd had a pelvic fracture, and had that a vertebroplasty, my lawyer said, we're not going to go for the 242 because they're going to say, you know, all these problems that you've got are exacerbated by other problems, not to do with the ulcer. So ultimately, my barrister came out and my lawyer, and we were talking. They'd offered to settle out of court with the other side. They wouldn't. They wanted to go to court. And so we did. I was awarded £120,000. Insurance, the legal fees, my bank paid 50,000. But the fees, you know, were escalating because of the court thing, and the bank wouldn't go above the £50,000. So my lawyer recommended an insurer, and the insurer that was recommended work hand in glove with these solicitors. They're all part and parcel. Normally, the success fee rate is either 25% of your compensation, or the difference between what's been paid for already by your insurance and the other side, which I'll come to. It's the lower payment anyway. They didn't want 25% off me, they wanted 40%. They've kept back nearly £50,000 of my money. I've had an email 2 days ago from the person who's dealing with the legal costs. And if you will see here, is saying that the court costs, I don't know whether you can see it, the court are going to set the costs probably between £240,000 and £280,000. The other side have offered £190,000, which isn't acceptable. That's only 60% of the court costs, and up until 2013 they had to pay all of your legal costs. At the moment, my lawyer has got it on their website that if successful, we will recover most, if not all, of your legal costs. These buggers have offered £190,000, 60%. So, as you can see, my email, totally unacceptable. And not only is he saying that the court are going to set the fee between 240 and 280, he's got, we need £322,644.90 before we can hand you back your 48,000. Why? If the court costs are only going to come to 240, why do they need 322,644.90? So this email's gone back to say I don't accept the 190. I anticipate it being a higher payout than that. From the other side, I won, they lost. You work for me. What did I say to him? What did I say? Oh, I've put, in addition, the insurers, Allianz insurers, who I understand work in partnership with your company, these solicitors, and it's unfair and unethical in demanding 40% of my compensation. You know, notwithstanding if they've offered 190, the worst case scenario, my bank have already paid 50, there's 240,000 that they're saying might be enough to pay them off. So anyway, I've sent this email off to him saying it's not acceptable. I've sent a copy to my bank. Insurers, I don't know whether I'm going to get any joy out of it, but if I don't, I'm going to blast the internet with the fact that these solicitors, along with their insurers, have written me off to the tune of nearly £50,000. Bloody disgraceful. So I'd say to anybody who is looking to bring a court case, bring a suit against anybody, look carefully at who you employ to fight your case. I went with the solicitors who, they're well known, they've got a good track record in being successful in certain cases, blah, blah, blah. I never doubted for a minute that they would have my best interests at heart. But obviously it's silly. So for a payout of 120,000 and nearly 7 years of damn misery, this man or woman, I can't tell by the name, is going on about this figure of 322,644.90. That's their bill of costs. Yet the court may assess the legal costs as between 240,000 and 280,000. They haven't mentioned the 50,000 that my bank has paid. Oh yeah, I've said here, now, as you remain working for and not against me, I would clearly not wish you to sadly believe, which was the phrase he used, sadly believe, that a fairer and more realistic repayment of costs is achievable. Oh, that should have been unachievable. I guess you'll understand. Anyway, so that's my little story of warning. You can, if you look at the various solicitors, don't go with one that's recommended. Don't go with the big names. Look very carefully into the list of solicitors, because some of them will give you, you get 100% of your compensation. No qualms, no queries. You get all your money, which I could do with. So they call it a success fee, an uplift, but it's not justified. It can't be justified, absolutely not. So if you're going to do anything like this and bring a court case, look for the solicitors. Any solicitor who is going to recommend an insurer who will take more than 25% of your payout, don't go with them. Look for one that is ethical and who will seek out the best insurer for you, not an insurer like this one who actually is part of their company, and thereby lies the problem. You need to take heed of, you know, that the insurer needs to be a separate body from your lawyers. Also, your bank, on your house insurance, you can probably get, as I did, so much paid towards your legal costs. They paid 50,000 of mine. Had they gone and offered to go the whole hog and pay the rest of it, another 50,000, there'd be no problem. But I suppose they have a ceiling. So you can claim legal costs on your house insurance. And also, if you're working and you're a member of a trades union, you can probably claim legal costs off them. But for goodness sake, be very wary of any insurer recommended to you by your solicitor. Be very wary. Let this be a warning to you. I'll be back later. Bye-bye.